Hey Virgo. Welcome to your January 2025 reading. Welcome to the new year, Capricorn season reading. All information to work with me one-on-one is below. That includes my website, scheduling link, payment options, email, everything to contact me. That's all below in the Patreon link, which will have both this reading and the extended reading, which will be in the first link below, so you can check that all out there. Everything's Venusian Wave on social medias and YouTube. So, beginning of the reading, we have Queen of Swords and the Eight of Cups. We're also going to check out your general theme for the year as well with a couple of cards after we get the first initial season month reading. This is about focusing more than saying on what you can control, the decisions that you have to make about how you feel about your life and the situation that you're in right now. You may also, a lot of you may be looking, maybe you're looking for a way out, and physically right now it may not feel possible. It will start to begin to feel more realistic and possible soon. But this is more about this understanding that you know that it doesn't matter where you go, it's how you enter a new phase of your life emotionally. This is also, the Queen of Wands can also be a Leo card, and Mars is currently retrograde in Leo and will go back into Cancer. So that being in your 12th house is that this may have brought up, or for lack of a better word, resurrected an issue that you didn't think was an issue, that you thought you resolved or got past, but really you're not. We all have this chance right now, because there's a lot going on. We all have this chance right now with Mars and Leo to really, there's nowhere to go but through. Where you can't go around, you can't avoid, you can't smart your way out of it, you have to go through it. That's how, you can't go anywhere else. And that means following through with a decision, following through with, yet again, this thing has come up. Yet again, this control mechanism, this part of you that wants certain attention and you won't admit it. Admit to yourself the attention that you need. Admit to yourself what you don't need. Be honest with yourself. You get attention regardless, right? And you ask yourself, well, why does it happen here and not here? Where are you not appreciating yourself enough? Are you looking too critically at yourself still? There's too much weight in that direction. Where can you become a little more carefree? Where you can let go of some of your control? What don't you have control over? Your emotions. Well, why are you triggered by certain things? You may start to ask yourself these questions. You might even start to have these conversations with others, just to make it seem lighter when you bring it back to yourself. But sometimes things weigh heavy on you because you keep them inside. And then when it turns up and turns out, it becomes more of a argument or fight or blown out of proportion instead of something to communicate. So sometimes, too many cards, you need practice. A lot of times you need practice. We all do. Whoa. Whoa. Things are going to move fast. Whoa. Yeah, that was the 8. Yeah. This brings up a moment where you may recognize how long this has been going on for, this dynamic. And for some of you, you may feel really harsh or some type of way about this coming up again. Don't. Again, this is something that's happening for everyone in these areas of your life. It's all in what your perspective is. So this may really shift your perspective so quickly. This is an event in your life. So for those of you where I was, for those of you out there, depending on where you were, where I was during New Year's, a huge thunderstorm broke like right around that time, and it can be shocking, right? But Thunder is big dramatic changes that come in your life. You can't stop them. They're coming through as long as, and then lightning. Lightning is inspiration. It's the psyche. It's intuition. It's something you can't stop from happening. It's the perfect time at the perfect moment. And with the 8 of Wands, I want to reiterate that because it's so quick changing. Your realization about not only what the control was over, what the situation was, how long it has been held within you. This is especially for Virgo moons, the more feeling era, but all 3 signs, sun, moon, and rising. Then you realize how much control, or the lack thereof, or wanting something specifically, a certain amount of this, or enough of some attention or power dynamic, right? Secrets, not, controlling how much you keep and hold, how much that was affecting your life, affecting you from seeing something, moving through something huge, allowing for what the inevitable is to happen anyway. That it's having you, with the Hierophant here and the High Priestess, you aligning with your principles in a way that you're now speaking them. Like, you're not just thinking it, you're not just acting on it. Now you don't care enough anymore about, not that you overly attentively care what people think, but you just are reshaping your own people's perception of you and your own perception of yourself. And it's this spiritual material shift. If you've been weighing too much on the spiritual or too much on the material, that's what needs to balance out right now. That's what you are connecting to during this Venusian change, but also towards the end of the month. You may find that you want to connect or reconnect with people that made you feel more connected to yourself, that didn't, you may notice and be hyper aware of your codependency also at this time, if you have any. What you also notice from this, that the power of things outside of yourself and how those have power over you and control and dictate how you feel instead of deciding for yourself. Not always easy, Virgo, but now more than ever you become very aware of how what you can't control affects you, even on a subtle level. So maybe you start to become more boundaried and more front-facing about who you are. So not that so that you don't, interact with certain people. That's not, you're not trying to cut people off, but you're just making people more aware of who you are. You're being a little bit more outspoken, maybe a lot more outspoken about what you want, if this connects to your relationship or connects to what you're looking to manifest or put energy into in the long term. By the end of the month, it becomes very obvious to you. Like, you almost have, maybe for some of you, it's even like an out-of-body experience where you're just like, this is the change I seek. And this is what I'm doing. It's like this powerful moment. Again, a couple very powerful moments this month where you feel and may experience a shift, especially in the way that you go about seeking pleasure, and how that develops, how pain and pleasure develop into fulfillment. You go about speaking about your life or how you decide to interact with people, even though it could be really easy and it's nice to commiserate at times and you can make jokes here and there, but now you're starting to notice which one of them you actually believe and how you would actually like to shift that. So if you are making joke, it is just a joke and it's not something you truly believe, because that does help. But now you're noticing and paying attention that you realize how powerful your words are. We have the Hierophant and the Judgment, that's throat. That's also Pluto. And especially this feels work heavy. We'll talk about relationship in a second, but it feels very work. And like we have the other Venusian sign here at the bottom. So relationships are also very important. Your work relationships are important right now. If you also are looking to If you're aspiring for more promotion or more money, now is the time to speak up for what you want. Don't wait for the moment, but don't be bashful about it, because you want to balance like who you are and your energy level and what you speak, because the Judgment card says like that something's happening or something's going to be said and people are going to listen. You also may be acknowledged by a Taurus or a figure in your life, whether it be in your relationships throughout your life or at work. You may be acknowledged heavily, and you notice how words of affirmations or how you're spoken to, again, going back to how you're speaking to yourself, because newsflash, your body hears you. It always hears you. It's listening. Okay. It knows what's true and what's not. Your brain doesn't, though. So that's the repetition, as you know. That how this connects to your resources, how your relationship, your words with yourself, how you speak to others as opposed to what you really believe. Something's starting to shift where you can find the words where you once couldn't. And you feel so secure about it that it's like no questions are asked. All of a sudden, there's like such a frequency shift that happens with you. It's this huge frequency shift. You're like kind of like no more. Like, I know what fulfills me. I know what I want. I know what I'm going after. I'm not going to pretend like maybe you think you're too young, or you think you don't know enough, or you're not as mature. There's a risk you want to take. Now's the time to prepare for it. Now's the time to have at it, get a little taste of it. If you want, go for it. It's up to you. Again, that risk is very powerful for you personally, but it does shift the frequency of your life, because you're healing something. You're healing something that you realize that through whatever this control dynamic was, through this first initial shift, it connects you deeply to what the truth is, what the root might be. And that's something that's been weighing on you for quite some time, and you finally release it. You may feel a deeper connection with or a release in your neck, which means a deeper connection with the grounded and the spiritual, right? Neck, Taurus, spring, death to life, right? What has been transforming within you, Judgment, Pluto, especially in the work areas of your life, because it has entered that, how you know you're worth more, yet you don't know how to quite say it, and now you're finding the words and you're experimenting, and it's good too, because that's the nervous system change, especially if you're nervous about it. That's the nervous system change. That's the belief change. That's the repetition. That's the knowing. And you may also have been working hard where you just get promoted, or you get given an option, right? If you've someone who's been taking on more, taken advantage of, it's time to speak up. Like, hey, like, I know that we were talking about this, but now, like, tell me how I'm doing. Tell me where this is going. I need to know a little bit more. That's within your control. You can ask the questions. If you don't ask the questions, you'll never know. So don't let things pent up where you don't ask questions and all of a sudden you're getting all frazzled. Don't do that to yourself either. Let your communication skills and the way that you're learning to transform the way that you talk, especially now that you realize what's been uncovered, connect it. Do the steps that you need, take the steps that you need to take. Let inspiration guide you. You'll feel a couple jolts possibly this month. So take care of your nervous system, take care of your spine. If you need to do different movement or stretches or workouts or whatever it is to enhance your quality of your spine, I highly recommend it. And the neck, that's really, really important. Maybe doing extra stretching, maybe gua sha, treat your neck well, give yourself a luxurious experience. This is learning to, I wrote down too, and I want to add this to it. It's recycling negative emotions, and that's really what this is. This is channeling any source of what you would call negativity into understanding yourself, This is a part, Virgo, where you like, sometimes like you get like like that adolescence moment where you're just like, you combust because you don't understand, because you're bottling it all up. You can't bottle it all up. You have so much healing, like so many resources to heal. There's a lot of balancing going on, especially in your interpersonal relationships and with your beliefs and how that changes everything. And but somehow it doesn't have to change everything, right? It just may change your trajectory, right? You could just know and trust that the people in your life are going to be supportive. You ever think of that? Not like, oh no, like people are gonna hate. Like, it's learning to realize like those aren't the people then, or maybe they need time to adjust to the shift that you're having, because the mercurial signs are really having a quick shift. But it lasts for a while, and then it's like integrating it into your life for sure. So this is a magical time, but also a time where you need to stand up for yourself in areas that need strengthening, that need more of that muscle, and to allow in areas where you don't need to overcompensate anymore. It's beginning to notice how clear that is now, and how more refined your skills and your talents and what you're made of and what you are unique with and how much you have to offer, the balance of that energy and the input and the output. So the balance of what your skills and what you have to offer and what you're being compensated for, you'll notice by your energy levels. That's what I'm saying. Okay? Ask for the support. Don't be afraid to continue to keep asking. If you're at a place where you have to keep asking over and over again, or you're in a relationship and you have to keep asking over and over again, do it. Because usually there's a mutual thing happening there. And yes, that may eventually provoke you to leave, but you know, doing what you can with where you are is acknowledging, not avoiding. And then if it doesn't, you know, if you say what you need to say and things there's no plan to move forward, then you make the plan to move forward. Then you decide, right? It's important to be dreaming, but doing the dream within where you're at, right? If you are confident enough to, and you know that you must move on physically, okay, but emotionally is really what's needed here. The physical stuff is more about standing up for yourself, standing your ground, Virgo. Okay, because a lot is going to shift this year. Being sure of this. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that's all I want to say. All information is below. We'll get right to the second part, Virgo. Thank you for your patience with my editing here, and we'll see you next month. Hi, Virgo. So I just pulled these from the bottom of the deck for your general. I did not get to it in the first part because I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, so I'm going to edit this into the first part. And I did reference justice, so I figured, you know what, we're just going to pull from the bottom. I've mainly been doing 3 cards. It's just been happening, not even on purpose. So you may be in a bit of wanting to find balance this month. And you know what? This brings me back to the Taurus reading. And there's Venusian signs out, so this makes sense. I'm glad I did it like this. So the balance is in the Venusian and the Venus way. So that is physically, energetically, mentally, what you're giving and receiving energy in your life interactions. So what I said to Taurus, and this may relate to some of you, is that especially as an earth sign, natural healing sign, Virgo, the healer, sometimes, I take a deep breath because I know this too to be true, that when you don't allow the medicine that you have, the healing that you have to come out of you, if you're neglecting to do your work, to do what you love, to be yourself. If you're tired, whatever it is, you're holding back love. You've learned to do that because that's what gets someone, that's what does what you want. Like there's a manipulation. You're discovering what's behind your interactions and why and what brings you back to balance. This may cause some, mental disruption, but really it's because you're giving it now the antidote and the care that you need to. This is a very cerebrally balancing, but also where you actually have control to shift is obviously starting with yourself and recognizing that maybe when you learn this, you didn't understand and you didn't realize like, oh, this is a part of that control. So now the direction here is to be very just honest in your relationships, maybe even vulnerable, like this is where I've been at. So I'm just being honest with you because this is my way of connecting, and it gets you out of your head. It gets you into your body. So anytime you feel like nervous to do something or have a conversation, it's maybe because you haven't integrated into your nervous system, where you need to do it in order to integrate this new part of you in. And every time you do that, that's why you can adjust so quickly. And not that you have to, it just will naturally start to happen, because then Libra says things fall into place. And these interactions and these relations heal any disruptions going on in your mind, because you're now able to talk about it out loud and bring it onto the table, or have third-party discussions, or bring certain things up to the surface in a way where it's personal, but it's in a way where you're also able to observe it. Okay, so this year is really about how you're communicating, how you're sharing yourself, like not harboring love. Like if you have much to give it, but also remember who and where you're giving it, because the quality of that is also important too. Are you just doing it? Notice that. That's the free will, obviously. But don't harbor it, because it can turn on you in a weird way. Like you can just festering, but you have something to say or something to offer. Just do it. You never know. Someone could really appreciate it, and you don't realize how much that is that internal dialogue of like, do you appreciate yourself enough to, say what you need to say, direct the flow of the conversation, Libra, direct the openness, the perception, opinions, judgments, how all of that leads back to insecurity, how you can really read someone based off of what they tell you about themselves, what you know. But instead of using it in a way of like getting your way, just like, if that's something that you do, use it as a way to balance out and understand where if this is something that keeps coming back into your field, maybe ask why. Maybe ask a different question, get curious, right? This is also being curious, being open-minded, being more external, Virgo, in a way that suits you. Okay, so now let's get to your reading.